Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 45, overall 540 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and yours truly has been a customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet for the last 25 years and counting. I hope everybody is doing well on this. I can't believe it's already Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. It feels like Monday after the holiday. I guess the holidays kind of screwed me up and everyone up. It is Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday. And I hope everybody in Canada had a very good, happy Victoria Day holiday. And I'm looking forward to my guest today. This is her first appearance on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And I met her through TikTok as well, which has been a really great app for a lot of people to connect on there as well. And we're going to bring on our guest. Her name is Nancy Singh. She's the owner of her own business called Nancy Singh Wellness, and she's also a global health wellness person as well. So just give me 1 second, and we're going to bring on Nancy Singh, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you can reduce your cholesterol and lower your insulin numbers, and better choices of healthier eating and to feel better, and also about Nancy's stories. Good afternoon, Nancy. How are you doing?
I'm well, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And again, I have connected with people from TikTok, and it's a pleasure to have you on our show today.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, and how was your long weekend?
I'm doing well. And the long weekend, I feel, even though it was long, it felt really short.
But doesn't today feel like a Monday instead of a Tuesday?
Oh, 100%. It does not feel like a Tuesday at all. And it's funny, I have reoccurring appointments in my calendar for Tuesdays, and I keep thinking like it's happening tomorrow, not today.
I have to put everything on a calendar because if I don't, I forget. I know you can do it all on your phone nowadays, but I'm still old school calendar guy.
Yeah.
And I was in your city on Saturday for a Blue Jays Tigers game, and then I saw my friend perform at Second City in Toronto, and I didn't get lost.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it's very easy to get lost in the city these days, because like every time you come downtown, something's different. Some new skyscraper has been put up and things have changed. And yeah, it's quite interesting because I used to live in downtown Toronto. And even when I go downtown these days, I find like it's completely different than just a year ago.
Oh, absolutely. And I was born in 1972, so I remember Toronto back in the 70s and 80s, and the CN Tower used to be in the middle of nowhere. It was all railroad, it was all land and railroads, and now it's all built up. And Toronto, to me, reminds me of New York City. There isn't an inch of land left there now.
Oh yeah. And even like with whatever little land there is, they keep trying to build up.
Absolutely. But hey, Nancy, again, I want to say thank you for coming on here today. And can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself and what entails a global health educator?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a global health educator is someone who connects with individuals all around the world to give them advice, guidance, and coaching and support on achieving their health goals. And the most common issue that most people around the world are facing is metabolic health. And so metabolic health is the precursor to a lot of chronic illnesses that many people are struggling with, like type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, even things like hormonal issues like PCOS or infertility, and even things like mental health like ADHD, Alzheimer's, and even dementia. And so a lot of times people are struggling with the symptoms and they're going to their healthcare professionals to get advice, and they oftentimes will leave with a prescription to get some sort of pharmaceutical medication to address the symptoms, but it doesn't address the root cause, which is insulin resistance. And that's where I come in to educate people about what is insulin, how does it manifest into insulin resistance in the body, and how it's predominantly a lifestyle and dietary challenge that people are faced with, and sort of why is this happening in today, especially with the modern food environment, and what you could do to overcome that naturally.
Nancy, can you tell our audience how you switched over from being a corporate banker for 14 years, and then what made you switch careers into being a global health educator and starting up your own business, Nancy Singh Wellness?
Yeah, so for me, I lost my grandmother to type 2 diabetes. So she passed away before I was ever even born, before my
I'm
parents.
sorry.
Thank you. And so growing up, my parents always warned me and my siblings, watch what you eat, don't have a lot of sweets, diabetes runs in our family, all these other conditions like high cholesterol, blood pressure, they all run in our family. So they were very, very health conscious with, what we ate and what we drank, and, made sure we stayed active. And so for me, I always felt that I wanted to have some sort of impact on individuals who are struggling with type 2 diabetes specifically. And, over the course of my life, my siblings both became doctors. I knew I wanted to do something where I would educate and help people, but I didn't want to go through the traditional med school route. And so, I ended up kind of falling into business just because I took an economics course in grade 11, fell in love with business, thought, I could maybe go about the education, but through a different stream, which would be through business. And then just in university, got a job at a bank, ended up working my way up the corporate ladder, and was getting a lot of guidance from mentors around me, like, hey, banks are very stable. This is where you want to build and grow. And I always thought about my passion and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help people, specifically around education for diabetes and helping with that. But it felt like every time I would kind of want to pursue that, life would always just kind of push me down another path. And so I ended up climbing the corporate ladder, from customer service all the way to a wealth advisor for one of the top banks, where I advised some of the wealthiest Canadian families on how to be more tax efficient with their structures, or invest their assets. And during that career, I recognized how many people are struggling with their health. And you could have all the money in the world, and it doesn't matter, because even the wealthiest Canadian families, if they were sick, that was all their focus was on, right? And so during that process, I ended up learning about how important health was, because I also became a victim to, prioritizing my career over my own personal well-being and my own health. And through my own lived experience, I struggled with staying healthy. I struggled with balancing my diet and exercise and stress levels with my job. And like most people, I kind of felt like it was okay to put my health aside as I build my career, and build myself in terms of my career. But I didn't realize what a significant price that would be to pay down the road. And so, in a roundabout way, and in a very long-winded way to answer your question, I went through many challenges with trying to balance both my career and my health. And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom in my late 20s that I realized this is where I need to make make a priority and put more attention. And then over the years, as I continued to go down that corporate path, um, I fell out of love with it. I felt that I was pigeonholed to only work with a certain class of people. And my philosophy had always been we're human first, we're banker second. So why should I reserve my information to only the wealthiest Canadians when everyone can benefit from this knowledge? And so I felt like the way that my career was going, I could only help a certain group of people. And I felt that everyone needed education and everyone needed access to information. And that's how we all collectively rise together and do better as a society. And beyond that, I felt that there was a greater need when it came to health and mental health and having people understand how they could really have a lot of autonomy over their health if they were just better informed. And so I made a pivot last year to leave my career and then actually just focus all in on educating individuals around the world.
Nancy, my story is a little different than yours, but I was in a corporate security job for 23 and a half years. I got paid well, I got benefits, and I learned some stuff from it. But at the end, I wasn't happy. And during the pandemic 5 years ago, I decided to switch careers. And I just, I know money's important, but sometimes it's not worth your mental health and your physical health. And if you're in a career or a job that you're not really passionate for, I know again the money aspect, but if you're not happy in a job or a career, it can affect your mindset, your mental health, and physical health as well.
Absolutely. And you feel empty. Like, I mean, what's the point of making a lot of money if you come home to an empty house, right? So,
Well,
totally get it.
and the thing is, I wasn't learning at the end. When I started this 5 years ago, I'm completely self-taught, self-made, and every day I'm learning something new from my guests, such as yourself or other guests, and I'm also learning more stuff all the time. I've stepped out of my comfort zone, and I'm sure Nancy, when you left the banking industry, you stepped out of the comfort zone as well.
100%. Totally. It's going from a corporate structure where I do feel to some example, you're almost brainwashed to feel that you have the sense of security. And there's no sense of security in any corporate structure, especially where there's
These days.
opportunities. Yeah, there's opportunities for consolidation. A lot of roles are being automated. And especially when you work for any public organization, at the end of the day, they're accountable to shareholders and they're looking at their profit and loss statements to see where can they maximize their profits, right? And that's where people who work for these publicly traded companies just feel like a number, right? And you can have, great leadership, but at the end of the day, even if you have great colleagues and you have great leadership and you have great clients, you're working for an institution that will just always ultimately base their decisions on profit and loss, right? And that's becoming a bigger reality for more and more people these days with the integration of AI in their workforces, as well as a lot of people just understanding that with this whole shift from COVID, where they were able to work remotely or work from home, a lot of people are looking for that work-life balance as well.
Nancy, I know I took some positives out of my last career and applied it to my new career. From the banking industry, what you learned in the 14 years as corporate banking, how much has it helped you as a small business entrepreneur?
Tons. So definitely what I learned the most was skills that are transferable, like relationship management, genuinely being yourself and showing people you care, not being focused on closing the deal or making the sale, but genuinely taking an interest in getting to know the person, understanding how you can help them and develop that relationship. And I think the bigger thing too is even just delayed gratification and being grateful. Like we I grew up in Canada, so in North America, we have an abundance of opportunities. And, with the internet and different platforms through social media, we're able to connect with people all over the world. And so that's how you and I connected, and that's how I connect with most of my clients through social media. And so, yeah, understanding how to communicate, understanding how to, connect with individuals, how to identify what problem they have that you can solve for them. And then the communication and ongoing relationship management, those are absolutely critical skills that I was able to cultivate and refine over my 14-year career that were absolutely transferable.
And one skill I learned from my other career too is, and I've applied it to this career as well, as much as talking and communicating is important, listening is probably just as important, if not more. And I'm going to say in your business too, Nancy, listening to your clientele is huge.
Absolutely.
Now, Nancy, I was going to ask you this too. Now I remembered. What are your thoughts on empathy nowadays? Do you find there's a lack of empathy around the world?
I think there is more uh, there's more of a lack of patience. And I think the lack of patience and lack of empathy do go hand in hand. I feel that everybody's looking for a genuine connection, but unfortunately, the way that social media has sort of trained our brains is that we want information instantaneously. A lot of just polite mannerisms, like how to connect with someone, how to communicate, how to start a conversation, have been completely bypassed. And I think that there are still a lot of good people out there who genuinely want to connect and help individuals. But I think that there's a lot of people that are just impatient, confused, and maybe they have a chip on their shoulder because of their own lived experience. And I think being kind to one another is super important.
Nancy, obviously the social media, the internet, the last 10 years is a lot of positives in that. But I wanted to get your thoughts. Have you found social media, the internet, besides shrinking our attention spans, has kind of shrunk our social media, our social skills as well?
Yeah, I'll give you a simple example of that. So, for example, if I am trying to connect with someone on social media, I will leave them a genuine compliment or try to establish a connection with them by actually watching their content, paying attention to it, seeing how it resonates with me, and letting them know that in a very polite and respectful way. And that would be exactly how I would communicate with someone if they were face to face to me. But I noticed a lot of people will, put heart emojis or like the praying hands or, fire emojis as a comment to, um, respond to someone's post. And in real life, you would never just walk up to someone and like do prayer hands and like walk away, or just like walk up to someone and make a heart and then walk away. So I feel that a lot of the way people think they're communicating and engaging on social media is it's very conflated with what is actually a genuine and authentic engagement or connection.
Nancy, for those people that are watching our show live stream or on audio, what advice would you give to somebody out there that's looking to start up their own small business as an entrepreneur? And what are some of the challenges that you had when you started up Nancy Singh Wellness?
I think first and foremost, before anyone is making a leap into entrepreneurship, I think they really need to have an honest conversation with themselves and how they manage their time. Because when you're in a corporate structure, typically you're requesting for time off. You have a certain flow to your day where you can expect, meetings or calls or, there's a certain anticipated flow of your day. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, you're creating that completely based on your own schedule. And you could either work a lot of hours, but not be very productive with that time, or you could work very few hours and be super efficient with your time. And so I think not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Everyone has the opportunity and the potential to, for sure, but based on your own skill sets or understanding how you thrive. If you're someone who really thrives in structure and planning and having things kind of like in a certain routine, you're going to have to create that for yourself as an entrepreneur. You're not going to be given that, right? But the upside and the potential is so worth it. But there are going to be growing pains and challenges and hiccups and just a lot of learning curves in the beginning.
Absolutely, and Nancy, and I've done that with doing this 5 years ago. I had no business experience other than being in corporate security for 23 and a half years, but I ended up volunteering with a basketball team and ended up doing camera work. And the camera work led to my podcast, which led to my radio show and to media opportunities. And sometimes you can find your passion just even volunteering. And I love doing this show. And Nancy, I'm going to put you on the spot with this question. I just thought of
Okay.
it now. I've learned how to think on my feet doing this show. How do you describe yourself as an entrepreneur? What's a word to describe yourself?
The first word that comes to my mind is resilient, because as an entrepreneur, you are just thrown so many different scenarios constantly. And sometimes you're juggling wearing different hats, right? And especially when you're bringing in other elements like social media to help, promote yourself and, connect with people who are looking for what you have. I think it's super important to develop a thick skin, even with blocking certain keywords on social media. You can get an influx of comments if you have videos that go viral or content that goes viral. People have no filter these days, and they're not shy to be very expressive with their thoughts and opinions, even if they're not valid, right?
And Nancy, you mentioned wearing hats. I literally wear hats, but today I didn't wear a hat. But for what I'm doing as an entrepreneur and a small business owner, I wear 8 or 9 different hats. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the best at everything, but
Yeah.
for me to get into the radio and media industry, the more you can learn, the more you can do, the more you can market yourself, and more people will see that out there. And you're right, doing this show from home, even from home, it's not like your 8 to 4 job. I work different hours. I work weekends. I work holidays, and I've learned to be flexible with all my guests. And I'm sure that you apply that to what you're doing with Nancy Singh Wellness.
Absolutely.
And it's not really, and I talked to a football player yesterday too. When you do something that you really enjoy, it's not really work, it's a passion. And sometimes you find your passion younger in life, or sometimes, like in my case, I was in my late 40s when I found this passion as well.
It's so important. I feel that, there's a lot of people who focus on, chasing their passion, but they don't really know how to clearly monetize it. And that's where, they feel that there's this disconnect in how they can grow. Um, but I think it's important to really, like, I'm a huge believer in self-reflection, right? I journal pretty much every day. And I think more and more people, if they took that time to really clear their mind and focus on what they want, they would have a more clear answer on how to take those next steps, right? But a lot of times people might say, okay, I'm passionate about this, I want to pursue it, and they kind of jump all in without really understanding the nuance or doing much research around it. And then unfortunately, they might get frustrated and lose that passion because they realize that now it requires a lot of work, or it's something that feels onerous to them rather than fun.
And I'm finding this out too. I've had a lot of successes, but I've also had people tell me no, but you can't let it stop you. I don't use the word no as a failure. I use it as a temporary setback. So when you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, whatever you're doing, um, you're not always going to get success. And you just have to remember, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And you said the word too, thick skin. Not everyone is going to like your work or like you personally. So you got to focus on impressing those people that want to support you, and not focus on the negative ones or the skeptics or the haters, as they say nowadays.
Yeah, and sometimes our biggest skeptics aren't even strangers, right? It could be our own intrusive thoughts. It could be our own family or friends. And again, maybe it's not coming from a place of malice. It's more of a place of where they want to protect us and they have a healthy skepticism. But, I think that working on your mindset and understanding how to overcome those intrusive thoughts, or, being able to condition yourself where you can operate from a place of being fearless is what allows you to just push through. Because, yeah, regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you're going to face hard days and you're going to face challenges. And, you're going to come across times where you feel like your back is against the wall and you might not have anyone to turn to other than yourself. And that's where you need to really be your own biggest advocate and push through, so that way you can really just focus on what the ultimate goal is.
Nancy, who were some of your early influences and mentors?
I would have to say a lot of my mentors came from people I worked with. So I didn't grow up in a business family, and I didn't have any um, examples of success in my own network growing up that I could really respond to or relate to. So when I transitioned into my career in banking and I was trying to figure out even just like what is the next role, I oftentimes would think about what I wanted to do. And then I would go to someone that I worked with. Usually it would be my boss. And I would say, hey, I love what I'm doing, and I definitely see myself growing. But if there's an opportunity for me to explore something else, this is the path that I'm most interested in. And I wonder if you have any insight on it. And if you don't, could you connect me with someone who does? And I was in my early 20s, so I didn't have a lot of money to take people out on dinners or lunches and pick their brains. So I would just ask people to connect with me over coffee. And so, whether those connections were being introduced to me through someone I worked with or through different like business networking websites, I would do my best to just genuinely connect with people, learn, what did they do to get to where they are? And I would try to understand how I could reverse engineer that for myself based on where I was. So, for example, I went to school for marketing and public relations, and I thought ultimately, I was going to be the chief marketing officer for a big publicly traded company. That was sort of my vision. After realizing med school wasn't for me, then I went into marketing and I thought that was what I was going to do. And then ended up, just kind of getting connected with people who saw something in me and said, hey, I think you should be in a role where you're helping people and you're talking to people because, you're very easygoing and you're able to connect with people and educate them in a simple way that they understand what you're saying. And in the bank structure, there's really two avenues that you could really build a career on, either going through the retail or commercial banking route where you're an advisor to either customers who come into a bank branch or um, people who are looking for loans for their business, or you go the wealth management route. And so I just kept seeking out mentors. I kept seeking out guidance from people who were in those roles, and I would get their advice on what I should do and how I could grow my career.
How important is it to have a strong support system with family or even friends? Because obviously, sometimes being an entrepreneur, you're going to face you're going to face challenges and tough times sometimes.
Yeah, so my perspective might be controversial. Um I don't think your family and friends are going to be your biggest supporters. And so in my case, I didn't have any support from my immediate family. And so for me, I had a very strong identity and sense of self, and I was very independent from a young age. And so for me, I never relied on that support from friends or family. And really, the underlying factor of that, Chris, is that um, I believe that you should only take advice from people who have what you want. And my family didn't have what I wanted. They didn't have the lifestyle, they didn't have anything that I wanted. And so for me, I would seek that out through external mentors that were in the field that I was looking to grow and build myself in. And even with friends, I feel like, um, friends are friends. They could be someone, you connect with, you talk to, you go out for a meal, maybe you share a hobby, but that doesn't necessarily translate that they would be able to give you support in business, right? And so I think a lot of people conflate the two. They feel like if they're starting a new business, their friends and family should support them, or they feel that there's some sort of entitlement to that. And there could be dynamics where people grow in either family or friend circles where that is the case. I didn't have that. And a lot of it stemmed to the fact that I would always kind of go against the grain. I'd always kind of figure things out on my own and pursue what I wanted. And I knew as I would go down that path, I would find my tribe. So I didn't put a lot of weight on immediate friends or family. And I do think as humans, we always evolve. So maybe those circles of friends could also change as we go through different life experiences as well.
I've discovered that a lot. And also, I look at life like a book. One chapter of your life is closed, a new one opens. And with my new career, I have connected with a lot of new people, with my guests, people like yourself. And I love doing this. It's just connecting and networking is huge. And like I said, you have to keep moving forward and you can't always live in the past. You got to think in the present and the future as well.
Totally.
Nancy, can you tell us about one of your most successful clients who helped introduce you into a simple science-backed system that helped you transform your health? If you'd like to tell us that story and a little bit about your products and Nancy Singh Wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 6 years ago, I was in my late 20s and I was the heaviest I had ever been. And growing up, I'd always played sports, either recreationally or competitively. I'd always been involved in, different clubs and associations where I was able to keep fit, very educated on, health because that was typical dinner conversation in our household, especially having siblings who were in the field of medicine. Um, but the reality was, most of my family was struggling with some sort of metabolic health issue. My grandmother passed away from type 2 diabetes. My father had been struggling with high cholesterol his whole life and taking statins. My mom had high blood pressure, even though she was a lifelong vegetarian. My sister had a master's in clinical nutrition, and yet, she had PCOS, IBS, and a lot of other health issues as well. And so, um, I realized that I wasn't going to get the information from that dynamic that I was in. And I tried everything, just, trying to be self-taught, doing all the things you're told, right? Eat less, move more, do more cardio, join different clubs, work with a personal trainer. I tried and failed at all of that, and nothing was sustainable. And so, one of my clients and I had a conversation where they had recommended this natural protocol that targeted insulin resistance. And prior to that conversation, I never understood or even heard of insulin resistance. And so they educated me on what is this hormone called insulin, how it's produced in the body. So it's a hormone that your pancreas produces to move sugar from your bloodstream into your cells for energy. Cells like, your liver, your brain, your muscles. And, if you're constantly eating food throughout the day, and if you're constantly eating food that's rich in carbohydrates or sugar, you end up spiking your blood sugar levels. And I guess the big misconception that a lot of people have is that they think you only spike your blood sugar if you're eating something sweet, but you can spike your blood sugar eating savory things like rice or bread or pasta as well. And so I learned about insulin resistance and how this one chronic issue can lead to a myriad of other health issues like the high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, the high cholesterol, PCOS, and even mental health issues as well. And so they educated me on how you could reverse this naturally with a simple protocol and incorporate things like eating more protein, eating less carbs, having more fiber, exercising regularly, like incorporating strength training. And I followed this protocol. And within a very short time, my skin cleared up, my hormonal issues completely disappeared. My belly fat had also been able to come off that I'd struggled with for years. And I just felt more energetic and I felt better. And I just love the results so much that I've consistently taken the products for the last 6 years. And in the last year, that was where I thought more and more people needed to hear about this. And I left corporate banking to now educate others on how they can take control of their health by simply adding this protocol.
What is the name of the company? And if you have the product with you, if you're able to show our audience, and how can it shrink insulin and cholesterol levels as well?
Absolutely. So the name of the company is Unicity International. They've been around for over 30 plus years, and they have two proprietary products that have several patents on them. So one of them is called Balance, and the other one is called Unimate. And
Can you
so,
explain? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
so Unimate is a yerba mate tea extract. So there's a green tea that's grown in Argentina called yerba mate. And what our company does is they handpick the leaves and fire roast them to activate their bioavailable compounds. And then from that, they're able to generate a concentrated extract, which they hyperpurify. And why it's important that they're activating these bioavailable compounds is because it has something in it like theobromine and saponins or chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is naturally anti-inflammatory and helps lower your blood sugar and your blood lipid levels. And also, when you take this in a fasted state, the world's leading metabolic health scientist, Dr. Benjamin Bickman, has studied this product to prove that it's, when taken in a fasted state, can activate this appetite suppression hormone in your body anywhere between 60 to 70%. That hormone is called GLP-1. So why I bring this up is because there's a lot of, insulin sensitive type of medications out there like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro that have been taken because of this exact, component where it helps with appetite suppression. But because it's a pharmaceutical, there's tons and tons and tons of side effects that are quite dangerous, especially if taken long term. Whereas this has the same benefit, but because it's a natural alternative, there's no side effects. It's just tea, right? And so, so that you would take, which helps with appetite suppression, helps with elevating your mood, and it also helps with mental focus and getting rid of any brain fog. And so that's the first product, which is a yerba mate tea extract. It comes in a powdered formula, so you could drink it hot or cold. You could sip on it throughout the day. You could add more water to dilute it. You could add mint. You could add lemon slices. It's super delicious. And then the second product, Balance, is actually a fiber matrix of proprietary soluble and insoluble plant extracts. And we've added in other things like vitamins and minerals that are essential to our body's development. And this is the only product in the world that is a natural product, meaning no side effects, and derived from plant extracts that can lower both your blood sugar and your blood lipid levels at the same time. And this particular product has been studied by third-party research institutions over 50 times. And they've actually compared this against other statin medication out there, not just one, but multiple statin medication out there. And this has outperformed them and is a natural product. So this product was actually developed by Rexall Pharmacy several years ago. Rexall used to have a subdivision called Rexall Sundown, where they would produce their nutraceuticals. They ended up selling off that company and they merged with another company called Enrich International, and they rebranded as Unicity International over 30 years ago. But this product used to be in Rexall storefront shelves. And so we had it there, but because the products need education, it didn't do so well in the storefront shelf. And with most customer service models, as you know, if you walk into a store, they might help you find something, or they might tell you what product is on sale. But if you ask, for more details about the individual product, unless they've been trained on it or used it themselves, they might not be the best person to educate on it. So we ended up switching the model where we took the product out of the shelf and the storefronts, and then we went to a direct-to-consumer online model. But yeah, both products have been around for a number of years. But this product in particular, you take right before your biggest meal of the day. And what happens is, because it's a blend of soluble and insoluble fibers, the soluble fibers are what help lower your blood sugar and your blood lipid levels, and the insoluble fibers are what help remove, waste from your digestive system and feed the bacteria in your gut what it needs in order to thrive. And we all know, or we've all heard, that your gut is your second brain. And 70% of our immune system is in our gut. And so this feeds the healthy bacteria in your gut in order to thrive. So that way, cravings go away, hunger pains go away, your energy goes up, your mood feels better. But the really cool thing is the different types of plant fibers we use. There's something like oat fiber. We have an extract of oat fiber, and in oat fiber, there's something called beta glucans. Beta glucans actually bind to cholesterol in your bloodstream and help remove the cholesterol in your waste, right? You have things like pectin fiber, which also removes toxins from your body. And this product is Health Canada approved. So if you go on the Health Canada website, this product has a natural product number on it, which can be searched online, and it tells all the benefits that are there that it can help with. And so we have these two products. We use them in a daily practice. You drink the tea first thing in the morning. It helps extend your fast from the night before, so you're able to burn your existing belly fat for energy, helps with mood, helps with appetite suppression. So it makes fasting a joke. And then you take this right before your biggest meal, whether that's your lunch or your dinner. Helps slow the absorption of carbohydrates and sugar on your bloodstream, feeds your healthy bacteria in your gut, as well as lowering your post-meal glucose spikes. And it does that by 43%. And then, typically when people are craving their afternoon pick-me-up and they want a second, coffee or, something sweet, you have your second tea. It keeps you feeling full and curbs those cravings. So you're not snacking in between that meal and your dinner, which is what allows your insulin levels to come back down and reset. And that's what allows your body to switch out of sugar burning mode and into fat burning mode. So that way you could lose your belly fat on the system.
Have to ask you this, Nancy. Can you add it to milk or pancakes or anything, or is it strictly water, like hot and cold water?
So the tea you could add to hot or cold water. You wouldn't want to add in things like cream or milk, because that would break your fast, right? And the idea is, if you can keep your body in a fasted state, your insulin levels are low, and that is how you're able to then become more metabolically flexible. The fiber you would just mix with water, and you would take it down in one go right before your biggest meal. The tea has some flexibility where if you want to add mint, you want to add, ginger slices, you want to add ice cubes, you could drink it hot or cold. I like drinking this in about a liter of water. I like a more mild lemon taste, but it tastes just like an iced tea if you drink it hot or cold. Sorry, if you drink it cold, and if you drink it hot, it tastes just like a lemon tea.
What would you say, Nancy, to those people that are watching this live stream or on audio that are still skeptical and they're not sure? Why should they give this a chance? And what flavor should somebody try with? The Balance or the other one you just mentioned, Unimate, mate?
Mate. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you know
mate.
what? If someone is skeptical, I think that's healthy, because in my own lived experience of trying different ways to get my health under control, I tried everything. Like, I tried the boot camps, I tried working with a trainer, I tried, eating 6 meals a day, I tried these different meal plans. So I can really appreciate when someone is skeptical because they've tried a bunch of things and typically those things haven't worked or they weren't sustainable, right? So I get it. Why I would encourage someone to give this a shot is because we have over 50 clinical studies done on the products. And we also have a 90-day money back guarantee in addition to a 90-day blood work guarantee. So there's no risk to an individual who tries the products, for 90 days. And if they find that they don't get the results they're looking for, or their cholesterol levels or their blood sugar levels haven't improved, they can get a full refund, no questions asked. So there's no risk to them where, most pharmaceuticals, or even if you go into a drugstore and you buy a product, they don't offer that same guarantee where you get a full refund if you use the product for 90 days and you don't find any improvement to your results. So I would say that should give them peace of mind, knowing that we're so confident in the results that our products offer that in fact, I always say this, I'm always looking for that one person, that first person that's going to come to me and say, Nancy, the products didn't work for me, right? So we've got that confidence to support the quality and the impact our products have.
How long does it normally take to see results from this product? Maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What's the average time frame from your experience?
Everyone's different because you have to understand biologically, whether you're male or female, your age, your hormones, your stress levels, your sleep quality, your environment, how much pollution you're exposed to. There's so many factors out there that can impact your results that, for me as a woman, it might take me 3 months to start getting results, whereas a male might find results within 2 weeks because their hormonal cycle is very different than mine, right? So results vary. I say, within the first few days, you definitely feel more energy, you feel less bloated, you're going to start to see some positive impact. But specifically for people who are looking to target fat loss, that can vary between, a couple weeks to a couple months or even 3 months. And we have had very few unique cases where, some people had really, really, strained gut microbiome dysfunction that it took them, 6 months, or it took them, 8 months to start really seeing results. But generally speaking, I would say everyone finds results within the first 3-month period, and that's why we have that 90-day, guarantee for individuals to try the products and really get a kickstart on their health.
There's another lady on TikTok that I'm friends with. I'm not sure if you know her. Her name is Wendy, and she's sells the same product as what you're doing as well. Gotta ask you this: what are some of the flavors, and what's the best way of buying this product? Obviously, through you and other salespeople on the website. Can you mention the website as well?
Yeah, so my specific website, I notice is linked as well with this show. So that would be youfeelgreat.com/CAN/C/NS25 off. With the tea in Canada, we have this flavor of lemon. If you're from the US, there's lemon and lemon ginger. So that's made with real ginger. So it does have like a little bit more of a kick to it. And then for the fiber protocol, this comes in 2 flavors, either orange, which tastes like an orange creamsicle or an orange Julius, or mixed berry, which is strawberry and raspberry. And so that tastes kind of like I like to say like a berry starburst. That's what it tastes like to me.
For somebody like me who's thinking about doing this, what is the cost like, and what would you recommend for someone like myself who's looking into this?
Yeah, so we really focused on making a price point that would be accessible for most, because we need to help as many people as we can with this. So again, it kind of depends where in the world you're ordering from, because we do ship to over 60 different countries. So it works to in and around $5 or $6 a day, depending on where you are. We've pretty much kept the cost neutral among different markets as well. In Canada here, it works to $1.79 a sachet, so just under $6 for taking all 3 in one day. Yeah, so quite affordable. And we find that because the protocol incorporates fasting and people are, let's say, skipping one meal and only having 2 meals a day, they're not snacking in between meals. And for those who are really taking the protocol serious because they have goals specific to maybe fat loss, they're being more conscious about not dining out as much or making healthier choices. We've found that people have been able to save money, if not, be cost neutral at the end of the month, based on incorporating this protocol. So it works out to less than $6 a day. In Canada, for a 1 month supply, $179 plus tax. In the US, $159 plus tax.
Now, I know Wendy mentioned it. I'm sure it'll be with you too. If you buy the 179 package, do they throw in a blender too?
Yes.
A
So
mixer?
for the first order, you get a hand mixer. So this helps, like if you're at home and you're having the fiber right before dinner, you just fill up a cup with water, you'd pour the fiber sachet in, and then you'd use the hand blender to mix it up, so it's not chunky or unpleasant. Otherwise, you do get a water bottle as well with your first purchase, and it has markers on the back which can give you a guideline of how much water to fill for the Unimate, and then how much water to fill for the balance. So sometimes if I'm out and about, I'll take the bottle with me, so that way I know I could just shake this and drink it right before a meal at a restaurant. Otherwise, worst case scenario, you could do it the old school way. Just use a fork, blend it. It might not be the most pleasant because it'll feel a little lumpy, but you've got the water bottle, you get the blender as well, so you have options.
How much water or how much should you drink a day of that?
So for mixing the balance, you would need about 200 to 300 milliliters of water to mix it, and you drink it in one go. For the Unimate, it's really up to an individual's taste preference. My husband, he loves drinking it super concentrated, so he will drink it in maybe 400 or 500 milliliters of water for the Unimate tea. I like drinking it in about 1 liter. I like a more diluted lemon flavor than he does. So it really just depends on your own taste, and you could either sip it throughout the day, or you can drink it in one go. And for the tea, you could have it hot or cold.
Are you able to share a little bit of your husband Jesse's story on here?
Absolutely. So my husband Jesse used to play golf professionally at the collegiate level, and had even went to Missouri on a golf scholarship. And so his goal or his dream was that he wanted to play golf professionally for the rest of his life, but he struggled with a lot of health issues. Specifically, he's 45 pounds overweight, struggled with acid reflux, high cholesterol. He was pre-diabetic, had high blood pressure, and he didn't realize how bad his health was because, again, like most people, we look at our family for clues, right? So it's like if mom and dad have these issues, then you think, oh, it's just genetic and I'm going to have those issues. And that's just how it goes. And that's how life works. So he was kind of oblivious to his health issues for many years, up until the point where, about 2-3 years ago, he went to a acupuncture appointment, and his body had so much inflammation and so much water retention from elevated blood pressure that the professional couldn't even put needles into his body to complete the service. And it was that specific individual who said, hey, like, there are some pretty clear alarm bells going off here. Like, you need to go to emergency. You need to get this checked out because that's not normal. And so that really resonated with him, and he ended up going to get, his complete physical done. And it turned out he was pre-diabetic, had high cholesterol, high blood pressure. He always knew he had issues with acid reflux because he would always pack Rolaids in his jacket pocket every time he went out to eat. So there are things like that, or he felt, tired a lot, low energy, a lot of brain fog, or tingling in the feet, which is a signal of neuropathy, which is again a signal of prediabetes. And so once he understood that he had all these health issues, he then said, okay, like I'm young, I'm in my early 30s, I got to figure this out. I can't live the rest of my life struggling with all these health issues. And that was where, funny enough, he had connected with the same client of mine who introduced me to the products, in order to then also get education on insulin resistance and if these products could help him. And so thankfully they connected. Jesse ordered the product himself, and he was able to lose 45 pounds,
Wow.
completely reverse his prediabetes, um, you know, lower his cholesterol and blood pressure into normal, healthy, a normal and healthy range. We just did a test the other day on his insulin resistance or insulin sensitivity, and he was like well below the threshold of where it would, signal any alarms. And yeah, now he's got like 14% body fat, and he doesn't work out now as much as he did back then. Back then, he was trying to eat more salads and work out and all these things. And again, because he had such high insulin resistance and gut issues, until he resolved that with these products, he wasn't able to regain his health to where he's at today.
I'm trying to lose some of my weight is not really on my legs or on my butt. It's usually in my face and my gut. So this
Mm.
product can really kind of shrink a man or a woman's belly, gut.
100%. And men typically have more immediate results than women because their hormonal cycle is different. Women, depending on if they're menstruating or in perimenopause or menopause, their cycles can fluctuate from 28 days to 38 days. And so, because of women's hormonal cycle and how significant things like sleep and cortisol impact that, most women will find results, in the 2 or 3 month mark. Whereas for men, it's as quick as 2 weeks. Like with my husband, it was 60 days that he lost 45 pounds. And everyone around him was thinking, like, like what is he doing that it's so drastic? But then now 2 years later, people are like, what are you doing that it was sustainable? Because losing weight is obviously a challenge for a lot of people. And
It's
I say
keeping it. I can relate. I've lost weight before, but then some people when they're stressed out, they turn to alcohol, drugs. I always turn to comfort food. So for me, losing weight is not the hard aspect. It's maintaining it because you can easily get back into bad eating habits or stressed out and put on that weight that you lost before.
Yeah, and so I hear that all the time, Chris. That's so common. Um, so with males, because their hormonal cycle is different and it's not as long as females, they tend to find that they get more immediate results. But the caveat, or the asterisk I'll put next to weight loss, is that it's actually targeting fat loss, not weight in general, because weight could be water weight, could be bone density, could be muscle mass, could be fat. But these products specifically target fat loss, and they do that by helping bring down the insulin levels in the body. So your body now switches out of sugar burning mode and into fat burning mode. And that's where you're able to literally melt your love handles. But I hear you about the whole, losing weight is one thing or losing fat is one thing, but then keeping it off is a whole other issue because, yeah, so many people, they work in environments where it's very high stress, or, there could be emergencies or family dynamics or other factors that can impact their stress levels. And oftentimes people will rely on things, either whether it's substances or comfort food. And so these products, because they're focusing on resetting, detoxifying, and rebuilding your gut health and addressing insulin resistance, when you become more insulin sensitive, you just automatically become more metabolically healthy. So my whole coaching, or my whole information that I share with people, is that you want to try eating, high healthy fat, high protein, and low carb, low sugar 80% of the time. But the 20% of the time, if you're having chocolate or you're having ice cream or you're having, a sweet treat, that's okay because the poison is in the dose. If you're eating that multiple times a day, every day, then obviously, there's a bigger issue behind the scenes. It's not just taking this product that's going to, reverse all that, but it can definitely help. And for those people who want, a balanced way to get the fat loss down and then keep it down, yes, you want to do something like 80/20. But yeah, I'm a foodie. My husband and I love to eat. We love to go out. My husband is basically a big kid with a beard. So he loves homemade cookies. He loves a sweet treat, but it's something in moderation, that's not as frequent. And then just having the right tools that you can add in that are adding in fiber, vitamins, and minerals that your body is not getting from the modern food environment.
How much protein or fiber is in the products?
So you get about 4 grams of fiber in the sachet, but you wouldn't get protein in these products because it's a tea extract, and then the other one's fiber from plant extracts. So no protein.
Nancy, do you have a few more minutes for a couple more questions? And I wanted to play one of your videos off of your Instagram page.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's okay. Just 1 second. And let me know if you can hear this okay.
Okay.
1 second. It's just courtesy of Nancy Singh's Instagram page, and we're going to play it right now.
If you skip breakfast for 2 weeks, especially if you have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, your cravings would go away, your energy would go up, and your blood sugar would finally stabilize. When you skip breakfast, your insulin levels drop, and that's when your body starts burning fat, not just storing it. You'll go longer without needing to eat. You'll lose belly fat, reduce inflammation, and your brain will think clearer. That's because it runs better on ketones than sugar. But here's the catch. If you break your fast with a banana, bagel, or even toast, you spike your insulin and undo everything. That's why most people don't see the results they're looking for. They think they're eating healthy, but they're actually eating sugar bombs. Here's the fix. Break your fast with fiber, healthy fats, and protein. I call this FFP. An example would be eggs, avocado, or steak with fiber. You'll stay in fat burning mode, keep your blood sugar stable, and lower your risk of heart disease. What happens if you skip breakfast?
Nancy, thoughts on this video, and how often do you post videos on your TikTok page and Instagram page, and where can my audience follow you on social media and the best way of contacting you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I post daily, and I've made this a consistent habit, to really help educate and connect with people across the globe. So I post daily. You can find me on Instagram, Nancy underscore plans, or on TikTok, Nancy plans. The best way to reach out to me is send me a direct message. I'd love to connect with you, learn more about where you're at with your health goals, and understand, what I can do to help. Those would be the best ways to connect. And yeah, I love creating content, and I love educating in a way that anyone can understand.
Any plans for a website and maybe even a book one day?
Definitely working on potentially having a landing page where I could share more testimonials and um, have something that might even be interactive with my audience. I don't know about a book. That would be super interesting. I've never really thought about that, but who knows? I mean, the world is always full of opportunities and abundance. So I wouldn't say no if the right book deal could come across that could help people and share more information and have a greater impact on those who are looking for it.
Maybe possibly your own podcast in the future.
That I would love. I love exactly what you're doing, connecting with people, just having conversations. So totally open to that.
I had one guest about a year and a half ago, an eye doctor, come on my show. She was kind of nervous and scared, and now she's got her own podcast, and she's really growing, taking off from this. So I
Oh,
love that. I love stories like yourselves and hers and everybody that comes on here, Nancy. And before we wrap up the show, I do this with all my guests. What are some fun facts about Nancy Singh?
ooh, okay. Fun facts. Most people think it's really odd that I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. That kind of like throws people for a loop. So my father actually grew up in Nairobi for 20 some odd years before he married my mom. I love playing sports and played flag football and was the captain of my high school flag football team. I played a defensive linebacker. Love, 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 love football. Um, and yeah, I'm just someone who like really loves to travel, enjoy different ways of staying fit, whether it's kickboxing, regular boxing, Muay Thai, or Pilates or strength training. I'm just a huge advocate for health. Love exploring cities by cuisine. So I think, when you can have products that can help you eat real food because that's real life, and not be super restrictive and do things in a sustainable way. I think that's amazing. And yeah, I'm just really excited to explore what the world has to offer and how my life will continue to unfold.
Favorite place to travel and favorite food?
So the first thing that came up to in my mind was British Columbia. So my husband's family is from BC, so that it always feels like home every time I go to BC. So that's my favorite place to travel, and I think for those who haven't explored Tofino on the island, Tofino is like heaven on earth. Um, and favorite cuisine, the first thing that pops up into my mind is Italian. Like I
Italian
could
food.
literally eat pasta and gelato every day.
Same here. I love my pasta. I'm not Italian, but I look Italian, but I love pasta, I love pizza, I love lasagna, and I
Yeah.
like my steak as well. And finally, do you have a question for the host CDP here before we wrap things up?
Yeah, if you could be doing anything other than what you're doing right now, what would that be?
I love doing what I'm doing now. I love being a talk show host, producer, content creator. I speak to local high school kids once a month about the importance of education in a classroom, but outside a classroom and career opportunities and stuff like that. I just love connecting with people, networking, and learning, constantly learning. So this is something I really have a passion for, and I can tell Nancy how passionate you are about your business and your products as well. And that's about it. And again, where can my audience, if they're interested in contacting you, get a hold of you for trying these products you were mentioning?
Yeah, connect with me on Instagram or TikTok, Nancy Plans. I'd love to learn how I can help you and explore from there.
All right. Well, Nancy, thank you so much for giving us over an hour of your time, and continue success. And I will contact you when I'm ready to do this because I want to feel better. I want to lose the weight to feel better, to
Yeah.
have more energy, and to also improve your sleep. There's so many positives about it. And you got to look at your body as like a car. A lot of us take care of our cars better than our bodies, and that's something I want to do. And I've tried the gyms. I've tried the dieting, I've tried the fasting, and it hasn't worked so far.
Mm. Well, you're right. Our body is like a car, specifically a hybrid car. Either we're burning sugar or we're burning fat. So, would love to help you when you're ready. And I really thought in the last question I asked you, you're going to say professional athlete.
I love sports too. I love sports, but I wasn't tall enough. I'm down to 5'6". I used to be 5'8".
Yeah. So, well, you could be a golf player. Like there's so many sports you could play.
I haven't golfed in 31 years. 30
Oh,
August 1994 was the last time I golfed.
oh dear. Don't tell my
That's okay.
husband that.
Yes, it's a skills sport. It really is a skills sport, and you have to have patience too with golf.
Totally.
So, hey, Nancy, thank you so much again for coming on here, and give me a little bit of time tonight, and I will send you the video, the audio, and I will cut this video into some reels and clips and tag you on IG and TikTok as well. And you have an open invite to come back on my show again in the future.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye for now.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Nancy Singh. She is a global health educator and the owner of Nancy Singh Wellness as well. And before we wrap up this show, guys, I've been doing some freelance independent media coverage of the Toronto Argonauts training camp. And I'm going to play an interview I did with one of the Argos running backs, a rookie from Ohio State, Mayan Williams. This is is Chris Palme at Alumni Stadium here at the University of Guelph for Toronto Argonauts training camp. And I have a special guest here, one of the Toronto Argonauts running backs that was drafted out of the Ohio State University. And can I just get your name, sir?
Mayan Williams.
Okay, what are your thoughts on being drafted by the Toronto Argonauts and coming up to the CFL?
It's just truly a blessing. You know, just professional football is just all I wanted to play. So it's definitely a blessing to be up here with the guys.
Ohio State, congratulations on the national championship last year. What was that experience like being at the Ohio State for a number of years?
It was definitely it was eye-opening for sure. But it just gets you ready for the pros. So definitely a good program and great school to be at.
What was your reaction like when you got drafted by the Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts in the CFL draft?
I was just blessed, just very thankful for everything, all the hard work I done put in. So, it's just time to make everybody see it pay off.
What before you came up to the CFL, did you know a little bit about the game and up here in Toronto?
Yeah, I know a little bit. They had 12 players on the field, and then the receivers get a running start. So that was kind of got to get used to it a little bit more, but it's very different.
What are your thoughts on the training camp facility here at the University of Guelph Alumni Stadium?
It's nice. It's nice. We got everything we need here, so it's definitely nice.
With Ohio State, thoughts on Ryan Day and the coaching staff, and how much have you evolved as a player and a running back since your rookie year with Ohio State?
Definitely a great head coach and a great staff too. So I would say they made me better as a man and as a player. I just try to be better every day at something. So that's the motto I go by.
How much of an adjustment has it been coming over to the Canadian Football League with the 3 downs and wider and longer fields and the different formations?
It's not that much different. It's a lot more running. So definitely got to be in shape. But it's not a lot more different, just a little bit. It ain't nothing too crazy.
What's one word to describe yourself as a running back?
A dog. Dog.
And what are some fun facts about you too the fans might not know about you?
I make music and I just like to chill out in nature. So I like just walk outside and just enjoy the nature.
Now, if you could have a walk-up music like they do in Major League Baseball, what walk-up song would you have to get yourself pumped up before a game?
That's a good one. I would say G Herbo Went Legit.
And who were some of your early football influences and mentors, if you had any?
So I looked up, when I first started playing running back, I was 9 years old, and I was watching a lot of Adrian Peterson. So that's what I really looked up to. And then it got to Marshawn Lynch. So just the physical running styles.
Is there a story behind your number?
28. Yeah. Like I said, when I first started playing running back, I was watching a lot of Adrian Peterson. So I was just I want to wear 28. And then the rest is just history.
Besides yourself right now, who's the best running back in football?
Got to give it to Saquon. Got to give it to him.
By the way, I'm a Birds fan too, so I still believe in the running game, and I feel that an offense is more balanced when you have a passing and a running attack as well. How do you describe yourself as a pass protector too? Are you good at pass protecting as well as running the ball?
Yeah, I would say it's equally good. Yeah, that's what I worked on. I worked on a lot in college because running the ball, that's easy. Everybody can do that, but when you know how to pass protect, that separates you as a player. So yeah, I've been working on that a lot too.
And do you have a message for Toronto Argonaut fans, 19-time Grey Cup champions?
We're going back.
And I want to say thank you so much for doing this interview. Are you on social media for fans to follow you?
I am. It's OK Miyan. OK Miyan.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview, and Continue success, even though you're Ohio State guy. Thank you for the interview, and all the best to you this season.
Thank you. Go Arcs.
That was Mayan Williams, a running back with the Toronto Argonauts, number 28. He's from the Ohio State University, and Mayan Williams and the Toronto Argonauts will be in Guelph for the next couple of weeks for training camp. They just had their blue and white scrimmage game yesterday at the Alumni Stadium, and the Toronto Argonauts' first preseason game will be this Saturday, May 24th at 7 o'clock at Hamilton Stadium, formerly known as Tim Hortons Field, as the Argos take on the Tiger Cats. And then the Argos, to conclude their preseason and training camp at the University of Guelph, will be taking on those same Hamilton Tiger Cats here at Alumni Stadium at the University of Guelph on Friday, May 30th at 7 o'clock. You can get tickets through the University of Guelph Griffin's website. And for more information about practice times and stuff going on with the Argos at Alumni Stadium, check out Mike Hogan. Follow Mike Hogan on Twitter, X, or the Argos social media sites for more information on practice times and stuff about the team as well. So thank you to Chris Belnovich, manager of media communications for the Toronto Argonauts, for arranging some of my interviews at the Alumni Stadium as well. So as always, go Argos. I have another announcement before we wrap up this show, guys. The next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is going to be on Sunday, May 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern, one on the West Coast, with special guest Kelly Zemnikis. That's Kelly Zemnikis. She is a stand-up comedian and filmmaker based out of Toronto. So this Sunday, May 25th at 4 o'clock for the next edition of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph. And I have more guests booked for next week. And check out my social media pages for some of my upcoming guests next week, and perhaps maybe someone from New York City as well. So you'll have to tune into my social media accounts for some of my guests next week as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, you can check out a 2025 Trax 1RS lease from 158 bi-weekly. That's like $79 weekly at 5.9% interest for 24 months with $2,800 down payment on an ultra low kilometer lease for a 2025 Trax 1RS. More details at barrycullen.com or visit the dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall and tell them Chris Palme sent you. And Barry Cullen Chevrolet is a proud sponsor of this talk show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And also, if you're a business and you're looking to advertise live stream, check out Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, CDP Media Productions. And you can email me at cpalme19@gmail.com or DM me on my social media platforms. I'd be happy to work together with your business to get advertised here. And I do have listeners in 45 countries around the world on Auto. And I also have over 404,000 views on my YouTube channel. So if you want to get your business out there, please consider contacting me at cpalme19@gmail.com or just DM me on my social media pages. And I look forward to working and hearing from you as well. And as always, guys, if you'd like a personalized video message from yours truly, Chris Palme, go to cameo.com, type in Chris Palme, and book your Cameo today. I do birthday wishes, pep talks, talk sports, my media work. And if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and you're devastated by being eliminated again by Florida, I'd be happy to talk Maple Leafs hockey with you as well. And today marks the 7,800 day since the Leafs won a Game 7. So again, to all my Toronto Maple Leaf friends out there, my deepest sympathies and condolences. And you can always use this word next year for the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2026. But to make Leaf fans feel better, the Chicago Cubs once went 108 years without winning a championship. The Cubs went 108 years until they won their first World Series back in 2016. So the Maple Leafs are only at 58 years. So I know with the Leafs, 1967. The Detroit Lions is even longer, 1957. And the Cleveland Guardians / Cleveland Indians, 1948. So there's a number of teams out there that have never won a championship. I haven't won a championship in a long time. And speaking of sports, guys, we have NBA Western Finals tonight. Minnesota and Oklahoma City, game 1 at 8:30, and neither one of those teams has won a championship. And then the other series, I believe, starts on Wednesday night. It's going to be the Pacers and Knicks. The Pacers have never won a championship in the NBA, and the New York Knicks haven't won an NBA title since 1973. I was 1 year old the last time the Knicks won. So you got Final Four. 3 of these teams have never won a championship, and New York hasn't won since 1973. NHL East Finals start tonight, guys. Florida, coming off that 6-1 drubbing of the Leafs, takes on Carolina tonight at 8 o'clock. I think this series is going to go 7 games. I really do. I'm going to go with Carolina over Florida in 7, and in the NBA playoffs, I'm going to go with Oklahoma and Indiana. So I'm going to see Oklahoma City and Indiana in the NBA finals. And the Stanley Cup finals, you got Dallas and Edmonton. I'm going to go with Edmonton. I'm going to go with Edmonton, Carolina, Stanley Cup final. Edmonton, Carolina. So, and also, guys, as we wrap up the show, you can follow me on Blue Sky Social at Live with CDP19 on Blue Sky Social. Also, guys, if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Community Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. If you're looking to volunteer there, you can fill out a volunteer application form through their website. And all the pets that are up for adoption, all their profiles are on cambridgehumanesociety.org. So if you're looking to adopt, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, 519-623-7722, extension 0. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. I do have a website you guys can follow me on. You can follow and subscribe, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme, all my social media sites, my WordPress articles that I've done for pro sports teams, and all my past episodes are on there. So check me out on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme for my digital content there as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com. You can follow this content creator on TikTok at Chris Palme. And I want to say thank you to everyone for following me on TikTok. And last week, I had over 830,000 views on my TikTok page. So thank you, everyone, for viewing my page, but also for following me there. And I post a lot of content. So at Chris Palme on TikTok. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional plans. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars or live streaming, StreamYard.com, and then contact the sales department for pricing there as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. And please make sure you follow and subscribe to those platforms as well. Finally, guys, you can email Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpalme19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you'd like to tip the host because you're a fan of this show and my media company, CDP Media Productions, you can tip me on PayPal at cpalme19@gmail.com. Finally, guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and also you can follow me on YouTube if you'd like to subscribe. Type in Chris Palme live with CDP Talk Show. Hit that subscribe and like notification as well. I post a lot of content on YouTube. I'm up to almost 2,900 videos of shorts and long videos on YouTube, and I just look forward to continuing to grow my YouTube channel as well. And that is about it for today, guys. I want to say thank you to my guest, Nancy Singh, a global health educator and the founder and owner of Nancy Singh Wellness. And you can follow her on TikTok, and she's on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. That's about it. I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream and on my audio platforms, and to my sponsor, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. And again, the next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, is going to be this Sunday, May 25th at 4 o'clock with special guest Callie Zemnikas. She is a stand-up comedian and filmmaker out of Toronto. And by the way, I was at Second City this Saturday night to see my friend Mary Kennedy perform. If you're in the Toronto area, check out the Second City. It's legendary. It's been in Toronto since 1973, and that's where the late John Candy and the SCTV crew performed with at Second City. The Second City is now located at 110 Harbor Street in Toronto. It's about a 10-minute walk from the Rogers Centre. And if you're in the LA area or in Scotland in the next few weeks, check out Mary Kennedy, a stand-up comedian. She's a friend of mine. She performed in Toronto this weekend, and she's a big thumbs up as well. So that is about it, guys. I hope everybody has a great night. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. Enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs. Major League Baseball, we got the Tigers and Cardinals tonight at 7:45. Tigers hoping to bounce back from a disappointing 11-4 loss to the Birds last night in St. Louis. Tigers still have the best record in baseball at 31-17. So that is about it. Thank you to everybody again for watching this live stream on audio, and to Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and to my guest, Nancy Singh. Hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you back here this Sunday, May 25th, 4 o'clock with Callie Zemnikas.